Hey everyone, Virginia McClain here. Long time no video. uh, it's been a wild month. I spent a lot of time organizing a virtual convention, virtual fantasy convention, CornCon 2020. For those of you who had a chance to check it out, I hope you enjoyed it. For those of you who didn't check it out, it's still all available on YouTube. Just search for CornCon 2020. And you can find over 27 hours of programming that we put together for the weekend of whatever the last weekend in April was. And since then, I've basically been in recovery mode. That whole thing took a lot out of me. And I've slowly been getting back into my groove of writing my own books and getting back into that. So that's been really, the last couple weeks have been good. I've gotten a lot written and I'm slowly getting back into a regular routine, but I did not get back into reading Victoria Marmot chapters yet, but that's my plan right now. And I don't have a ton of time, but I know we're way behind, so I'm going to try to do at least 3 chapters today, and I don't have time to practice them beforehand, so they're going to be on the fly again. That's been going okay, so I'm going to try it again, and hopefully it goes reasonably well. So we're going to start off with chapter 17. When last we left our hero at the end of chapter 16, Vic had just been attacked right in front of her house, and then a wolf and a Black Panther had shown up and helped her mostly. But then she was bitten on the ankle and suddenly felt very different, was no longer the same size and shape that she was used to being, and couldn't vocalize with words. So she'd been growling. So that was where we left off when last we left Vic. They had just opened the door to her house. The Panther had materialized into naked new girl and and Seamus, and that's where we start off with the beginning of chapter 17. So Victoria, Marmot, and the Meddling Goddess, chapter 17. Here we go. As soon as the door closed behind us, I looked from Seamus to the new girl and back again, hoping that my face, whatever it looked like now, conveyed the full weight of my what the everlasting fuck attitude. Seamus shifted back to human form, and I had to take a moment to regain my composure. What the hell? Did I seriously just lick my paw? I stared in bafflement, not sure how to process any of this. I had paws. 4 of them. They were large, seriously large. They splayed wide when I walked, and they were white with maybe a hint of gray and some light spotting. Curiosity getting the better of me, I padded upstairs to my bedroom, pushed my way past the door, and swung around to stand in front of the full-length mirror that hung down the back of it. I sat down, stunned. I was a snow leopard. A snow leopard. A motherfucking snow leopard! This was awesome! I ran down the stairs, taking them in leaps, and landed excitedly at the bottom. I'm a fucking snow leopard! I screamed. And then I looked down again. Damn it! I'm a human again. Heat rose to my cheeks as I looked at Seamus and the new girl standing naked in my kitchen and realized that I, too, was bereft of clothing. I worked hard to tamp down the surge of attraction I felt for both of them. Chill out, body, now is really not the time. I turned metaphorical tail and ran upstairs again. Halfway up the stairs, I realized that my clothes were probably lying in a pile on my front step, but I was so not going back downstairs and outside, butt naked, to get them. I headed to my room instead. When I came back down, I was fully clothed, and I carried a baggy pair of sweats and a t-shirt for Seamus and an extra pair of jeans and a tank top for the new girl. You're both welcome to stay naked if you're more comfortable that way, but, well, in case you're not, I brought some clothes down. I tried not to blush while I handed the clothes out. I didn't realize snow leopards were so shy, the new girl said, taking the clothes, but not looking like she was in any rush to put them on. Seamus cleared his throat, and I was relieved to see he'd put the pants on immediately. She wasn't raised in a were community, he said, as if that explained everything. I shrugged. Seriously, I have nothing against nudity. I wasn't comfortable, so I thought I'd offer you the same amenities. You're welcome to stay as you are. What's your name, by the way? I'm Sol, she said, extending her hand to shake mine. Short for Soledad. Nice to meet you, Sol, I said, returning the handshake. This is Seamus. Seamus reached his hand out, and Sol sneered at it briefly and then looked away. Wow, I said, not liking where this was going. That was shitty. What's your problem? Apparently, I was all out of diplomacy for the day. Sol shrugged and walked out of the room, holding the jeans and tank I'd brought her. She didn't head for the door, so I didn't think she was leaving. I assumed she had just decided to change out of sight. Why she bothered, when she'd just been standing naked in front of us for 5 minutes, was anyone's guess. What the fuck was that, Seamus? I asked as soon as she was gone. I don't think she likes me, he said, glaring after Sol's retreating form. Clearly not. That's not what I mean. What the fuck just happened out there? I gestured wildly at the front door. Oh, that, he said. Looks like you found your were form. My what? What does that mean? Well, as you so accurately shouted when you got down the stairs, you're a motherfucking snow leopard. His smile was entirely too smug for my liking. What does that mean? How is that even possible? What is happening to me? Of course, that moment, the moment when I was basically falling into full-blown panic mode, was the moment that Sol came back in from the bathroom. Gatita, don't worry. Nothing is wrong. You're just doing what you're supposed to do. You're aware, just like me, somewhat like your doggy pal here. You have an animal form that you can call on at will, although I will admit it usually takes us a while longer to learn how to call and dismiss our animal self so quickly. You seem particularly adept at it. I looked between Sol and Seamus. That explains precisely nothing. How is it possible that I'm aware anything? How could I not know this? Didn't you say this was genetic? That last one I directed firmly at Seamus. Last night, when I'd been peppering him with questions, trying to convince myself that werewolves didn't exist, even with the evidence staring me in the face, he'd explained that the condition wasn't transferred by bite, it was genetic. You were only aware if your parents were weres, and your family was likely to be the same animal that your parents called on, although there were exceptions. You lied to me, I said, staring down at him. My parents weren't weres. I would have known if they were. They would never have hidden that from me, and I've never changed before until she bit me. I glared at both of them. It is genetic, Gatita. My biting you didn't do anything except call your animal to you for the first time. Our animal forms require another were's bite to bring them across. Contact with another were's saliva is like a neon sign calling your animal over. Like calls to like. What does that even mean? None of this made sense. Don't get me wrong, I'd spent my entire childhood and early adolescence waiting for my damned owl to arrive and tell me I was special, magical, somehow privy to a different world in which dragons were actually real, but this was ridiculous. I was an adult now, or I would be in a week or so, and I knew as well as anyone that magic wasn't real, as much as I wanted it to be. I couldn't be a were-leopard. My parents would have told me. Also, physics. I mean, come on. How on earth could I be both a human and a snow leopard at the same time? That just doesn't make sense. Judging by the looks on Sol and Seamus's faces, I must have said some portion of that part out loud. Gatita, physics is precisely how this whole thing works. I'm not one of the folks who research this kind of thing, but the way you access your were is through dark matter. At least that's what the latest scientific journals are claiming. It's not the kind of thing I pay attention to. That was a non-explanation if I had ever heard one. But it was clear that Sol wasn't super up-to-date on the physics stuff. I'd have to ask someone else about how dark matter allowed me to have a snow leopard form. There were plenty of other questions fighting for my attention instead. But my parents? I argued feebly. Now that one, Gatita, I can easily explain. Your parents certainly knew you were were. They were both weres themselves, and they probably told you about it too, at least early on, but after your brother went missing. My brother? I didn't know you had a brother, Vic. I don't know. I suddenly had a raging headache, one that felt like my skull was about to split. We're going to need tea, I think, Sol said, fumbling through my cupboards and pulling out the kettle and assorted tea collection. Gatita, I don't know how to say this any other way, so I'm just going to say it, she said, filling the kettle and placing it on top of the stove. Your brother is alive, and I know where to find him. And that was when I passed out. So that is chapter 17, and I'm going to run off and record chapters 18 and 19 and post these all today. So hopefully you get a chance to listen to about 3 chapters today.